So like there's this whole fallacy that politics or politicians fix things. And I mean, if they they don't, they absolutely do not. They are elected representatives. Some of them represent us well, some of them represent us poorly, some of them we don't want to represent us, and some of them we do. But regardless, all that being said, like it just comes down to this whole fallacy that like they do so very little for you. So for you to put so much credence and so much self-worth in their occupation and their stance on things, again, win or lose, this doesn't matter. It's just, in my view, an incredible waste of time. The power of influence lies in us, in the individual and the community that surrounds us. So what should we be doing? You should be building up the stuff around you.
What the hell's going on out here?
All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Fueled by Spite. As always, I'm your host, Dr. James Taylor. Today, I have something for you that everybody wants, nobody asked for. And it is, if I get the chords squared away here, there it is. I got a thing with chords. Thing 4 chords? I like organized chords. Anyway, I got the thing that everybody wanted, nobody asked for. It is my take on the election coverage. The dust has settled. The sky has not fallen, depending on your prerogative, if you will. So, man, first of all, Halloween, daylight savings time, the election, all in under a week. Nuts. Fucking exact. See, I'm tongue tied and a loss for words. I'm never at a loss for words. I'm not at a loss for words now. I've got words written down here. So, what do we do now? What happens now? So, if you've watched this for any length of time, certainly if you know me at all, I am right of center, and I'm okay with that. And it doesn't bother me if you're not. But like, I don't know, like Rhino maybe in name. I'm not sure exactly. Okay. Also, all that being said, I am not political. Like I was about to say, like, I'm not incredibly political. I'm really not political. Like I know what I like. I know what I want. I know what I don't like. I know what I don't want. And those things, as far as I can tell, put me right of center. So basically, I want my gun owning gay neighbors to be able to get married and protect their pot plants by themselves. Right? That seems fair, right? Or I want my gay married neighbors to protect their pot plants with guns. Yeah, that's basically that's kind of where I stand on politics in general. That all being said, man, it's what a time to be alive. So let's talk about the second iteration of the Orange Man Cometh. So I just got back from a seminar on business and all that kind of stuff. And one thing that they talked about that I thought was a wonderful observation was this was an election by marketing and entertainment. Both sides spent billions with a B and an S at the end, billions of dollars on marketing and entertainment. And the guy running it, Sean Dill, he made an observation that uh, I I have to assume it's true. I don't have a huge sample size, but he said you didn't see any political ads on any other sort of advertising other than the TV, which is fairly true. Like I watch TV here and there. I watch very little, maybe a sports game here and there on. But other than that, it's I got a 6 and a 7-year-old. I watch Bluey. I watch Halloween just got over. I watched a whole lot of Addams Family and Hocus Pocus. I don't watch a lot of live television. The little bit of live television I did catch, yep, there were absolutely political ads on there. And on radio, political ads. But other than that, like on social media, man, I didn't see a whole lot. And again, Zuckerberg knows where I stand. Whoever runs TikTok knows where I stand. It would stand to reason that political ads, had they been running them, would have popped up on there. They didn't. What I did see a lot of was, like I said, marketing by entertainment. Kid Rock opened up Trump's thing. The other Kamala had some rapper, like it was entertainment. It was kind of idiocracy, if you ask me. But man, that's absolutely what it was. But then also too, like these guys were making the podcast rounds. Never seen that before. So all that being said, what do we do now? This is my my survival guide for you, and I wrote this out to be as bipartisan as I possibly can. But again, right of center, so it's going to have a right bent. So first and foremost, the scoreboard is real. Okay, the red team won. There's nothing you can do about it. The last time we played this game, the blue team won. There's nothing we could do about it. Time before that, red team. Time before that, blue, blue. Time for that, red, red. Like this is constantly changing. So I think it was Walter Payton, is famous for saying like, when you score, act like you've been there before. So, I mean, the scoreboard is very real at this point in time. And what I think it should cause you to do, regardless of if your person won or lost, evaluate yourself. Evaluate how you've been living. So, is that something that you need to change? Because like whatever goes on in DC, the Richmond, north of Richmond, if you will, to borrow from pop culture, there's not a really in my perspective, there's not a whole lot that directly affects me. Now, come tax season might be different, but evaluate how you've been living your life. Like, are you sinking into self-pity? Are you sinking into outrage? Are you standing on your soapbox and just shaking your fist, trumpeting, I did it, we did it, somebody did it, I cheered for the person that did it? If you're doing those, like that does nothing. That does so incredibly little. Like dwelling is always useless. Always. Gloating is always useless. And this is coming from someone who gloats and sometimes dwells, but I certainly take the opportunity to gloat. But again, they're both incredibly useless activities, regardless of you if you were on red team or blue team and you won or you lost. If you're just sitting there gloating or dwelling, putting whatever kind of videos you want on Instagram or TikTok, like it does absolutely nothing except perpetuates the absolute uselessness of the activity that you're doing. Winning doesn't come from your candidate's success. It really doesn't. Like I said, there's so very little that I think the Richmond, north of Richmond do that directly affects me. Now, the Richmond in North Richland Hills, a less popular song, um, that does a whole lot more that affects me because that's locally. That's the stuff that goes on here in my backyard, in my front yard, in my neighbor's yard, that kind of stuff. Like the stuff that is happening in DC, win or loss, it's not your win or loss. It really isn't. Next thing we could do, personal accountability over political dependency. So, like I said, I am not incredibly political. Even incredibly gives me too much credit. I'm not political. I just know where I stand based on how I feel about things. That's literally where I get a whole lot of my political bent from. It's just my feelings and the way that I want to go throughout life and how I want to interact with people and how I want people to interact with me or not interact with me. But basically, like personal accountability in my mind trumps, see what I did there? Political dependency so much, so much, so much, so much. So, like, there's this whole fallacy that politics or politicians fix things. And I mean, if they they don't, they absolutely do not. They are elected representatives. Some of them represent us well. Some of them represent us poorly. Some of them we don't want to represent us, and some of them we do. But regardless, all that being said, like it just comes down to this whole fallacy that like they do so very little for you. So for you to put so much credence and so much self-worth in their occupation and their stance on things, again, win or lose, this doesn't matter. It's just, in my view, an incredible waste of time. The power of influence lies in us, in the individual and the community that surrounds us. So, what should we be doing? You should be building up the stuff around you. You should be building up the stuff inside of you. You should be building yourself. You should be building your businesses. You should be supporting local causes, the stuff going on in your front yard, your backyard, and the spaces in between, supporting your family and your personal values. again, regardless of the outcome of this election, what are you doing for you? What do you do if your guy won? How are you going to make that winning make you a better person? What are you going to do to take advantage of the stuff that's apparently going to happen? If your girl lost, what are you going to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? And if it does happen again, to make sure it doesn't affect you so much. Are you going to sit there and dwell, or are you going to sit there and gloat? Because that's going to do a whole fat lot of nothing. So, yeah, build your businesses, support your local causes, build yourself. I mean, mentor and volunteer. Now, I say that with a grain of salt. I wrote this down and I was like, oh man, like there's some of you that are really shitty mentors. And I mean that, like, we've had the talk about the shitty coaches out there, but some of you are really shitty mentors to your neighborhood and the people around you. Um, the ones that are, teaching these, indoctrinating these kids with this far left or far right absolute bullshit. Oh man, it's insane. It is insane, the fact that you put so much credence into what people in blue ties and red ties, or blue suits and red suits, satanic. No, that's another whole episode. That's a rabbit hole you can dive down on TikTok or YouTube. But the fact that you're putting so much faith into these people, and then you're teaching your kids to put so much faith into these people, and then if they win, you're making them feel like it's like their victory too, or if they lose, you're making it feel like their loss too. It's sad. It's really sad. So again, it just goes back to the personal accountability things. If you're wallowing, and if you're wallowing or gloating, you're not doing these things to build up the stuff locally. This will No, okay. This is pertinent now to the left because of the time we're in, but it's absolutely pertinent to the right because of the time we had 4 years ago. Stop rejecting, or stop just putting this victimhood mentality upon yourself. For all intents and purposes, those of you who voted for the left, you didn't lose. She did. She lost. You weren't on the ballot. She was. For those of you who voted for the right, the red one, the orange one, you didn't win. He did. He was on the ballot. So, like, this victimhood mentality is absolutely insane, because what it does, again, it just perpetuates this cycle that you're literally doing to yourself about how you lost, how you failed. When in actuality, if you voted, you did what you were supposed to do, and it didn't work out in your favor, or it did. I mean, if you're a victim, stop it. Just knock it off. And if you were a victim last year, don't use that as an excuse. Last election, don't use that as an excuse to, like, okay, I deserve this. No, you didn't deserve shit. You really didn't. And if you see someone being a victim, I'm taking part in this right now, tell them to stop it. It's like going to the airport. If you see something, say something. Because again, it does so incredibly little. For those of you who are in that victimhood mentality right now, I mean, odds are you survived the first one. If you were able to be a victim now, then you were probably feeling like a victim 8 years ago. But you made it, right? So, hey, you can do it. Keep going. Keep on chugging along. Next thing we can do, build resilience. Like, that's the biggest thing. Because for all intents and purposes, again, it's really important now to a certain group of people, and it'll be really important later to possibly another group of people. You know why? Because the outcomes of elections change. It's never been all red. It's never been all blue. That goes back and forth. There's this resiliency thing that will come into play for the other half of people here eventually. The other shoe will drop. So build the resilience. The political climate is constantly changing, and resilience is essential. But that all being said, the climate you should be participating in and paying attention to is the local stuff. I mean, we got Governor Hot Wheels down here in Austin. Like, from him on down, that's kind of where I'm sitting in my ever so minuscule and small political activism, if you will. The local stuff is what's going to affect you far more than the DC stuff. It just is. So build resilience. Political climate is constantly changing. Self-improvement, man, look inward. Like, Make it better, or no, it's not even an or. I don't even know why I wrote down or here. Make it better for yourself because you got to look inward. You got to see, you got to have a better version of yourself coming out of this. Again, win or lose. You have to have a better version of yourself coming out of this. Now, there are certainly some people who find it easier right now to look to the bright side because they feel that they're on the bright side. There are some people out there who find it very difficult to look for the bright side because they feel like everything is dark right now. And I mean, hell, maybe to them it is. I don't know. I'm not on that side. I have a pretty sunny disposition. But again, the reason being is because I'm looking inward. And for all intents and purposes, I had a real sunny disposition when Biden won. And I'm gonna have a real sunny disposition when the next guy or girl wins. Because it literally comes from the stuff. I choose how my outlook on life is going to be. This is basically what it comes down to. This is my choice. This is my decision, regardless of who is in the house on the hill up there. So look inward, make it better for yourself. Physical standpoint, emotional standpoint, financial standpoint, and again, most importantly, your community standpoint. Your resiliency will help shape your community. Like it was a Gandhi or something, like be the change you want to see in the world, something like that. Go do that. Be that change. Be adaptable because that's going to be where your long term success comes from. The scoreboard will change again. So, for those of you who are gloating, it's going to change. I guarantee it. The real test is like, what are you going to do next? Tomorrow's Monday, as we're recording this. If you're listening to this, tomorrow's going to be Friday. Provided you listen, I don't know, whatever. It's a freaking podcast. It lives on the internet forever and ever and ever. I don't know what your tomorrow is going to bring, but you have a say in it far more than I do, and far more than the orange man in the White House does. It's just, man, if you just put a little more reliance on yourself and a little more trust in yourself, these elections wouldn't matter at all. No, we'd still have them and all that stuff and blah, 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 blah. But for all intents and purposes, they wouldn't affect you. You wouldn't feel compelled to open up your phone and go on Instagram Live and talk about how you did it. You won, even though you didn't do shit. Or you wouldn't feel compelled to open up TikTok and start crying and pulling over on the side of the road and saying, we lost, we lost, we lost. No, you didn't lose. She did. You're still you. You can still do all the shit you want to do. You really can if you want to. Now, it's kind of a hard thing to do over and over and over again when you're not used to it. But the more often you do it, the more often you remind yourself of your strength and your power and your resiliency, the easier it gets. But if you find yourself on the winning side too, like Walter Payton said, act like you've been there before. Don't be a douchebag. That's it. My election coverage in a nutshell. I think it was pretty good. As always, I hope you got something from this because I'm not kidding. You will learn more here by accident than elsewhere by design, right here on Fueled by Spite. We're nearing down the end of the year. Someone told me there's only like 7 Fridays left or something like that. And I'll tell you right now, there are some big things coming to finish this thing off. There are some awesome things coming next year. You just wait, especially if you're in the DFW area. That all being said, I want to hop in real quick. Make sure you're following us on Instagram at Spiteful Success and on TikTok. We're the pages that are between the people gloating and the people crying. If you're here in DFW, Aspire Chiropractic, that's where the best chiropractor in DFW is. Make sure you follow us there too on Instagram because we do some awesome stuff here every Friday. We're dropping $100 to all of our local businesses. See, I'm not kidding when I'm saying take part in your community. Do the stuff in your community to help it grow. $100 to local businesses. We also do $100 open tabs on Dr. Taylor Sent Me. We do those most Fridays if I'm in town. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff happening here locally. So once again, thanks for watching. Like, share, follow, and either congratulations or I'm sorry on the victory that you didn't win, regardless of how it came down. And you didn't lose. We'll see you guys later.